Hello and welcome to the Trading Mindset Podcast. My name's Nilton Fernandez, and on our podcast we look to talk to traders that have educated themselves to successfully trade the markets today. As you know, this can be a tough gig for anyone starting out, but we look to get inside the minds of these successful traders and understand the strategies that they use, the morning rituals or morning routines that they follow, and how they trade upon the economic news. We also have much more.
Hello, and my name is Louise Non-Wheeler. I am the co-host of the Trading Mindset Podcast. I am a multi-award-winning clinical hypnotherapist and life coach, and I specialize in working with financial traders on their psychology of trading. In this podcast, we talk to traders about their emotions that they experience, the challenges that they face on a daily basis, and the techniques that they have used that have really helped them to get from where they are to becoming profitable traders. Hello and welcome to the Trading Mindset Podcast. My name is Louise Non-Wheeler and I am one of the co-hosts of the podcast. Nilton is not with us today, he's traveling overseas, but I'm joined by my lovely co-host, James Harwood. How are you doing, James?
I'm very good, thank you. How are you?
I'm very well on this sunny UK morning.
It is, yeah, but more than okay. I'm very excited about our guest, actually, someone I've known for a long time.
Yes, I'm very excited too. So, without further ado, we have Jose Blasco on the show. Jose is a trader and he is also the principal of Traddictiv. We have some very exciting things to share with him today, and he has some exciting things to share with us. So without further ado, welcome on the show, Jose.
My pleasure. Thank you so much for having me. I'm really, really excited to joining you and very special moment for me. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome. It's an absolute pleasure to have you on. So I've known you for some years now, Jose, but you know, you've been trading for many years. You have some very exciting things to share to the listeners about what you're doing now. But let's take it back to the beginning, if that's okay. When did you first start trading?
Yes, beginning was 2008 for me. That was the year where I am from Spain originally, and that year I moved to live in the US. And I arrived there, and next thing you know, there is this financial crisis, and the markets are moving, and it was a very exciting time for me when I started at that time.
Okay, fantastic. So yeah, it was. I mean, 2008 was a very interesting time. How did you get into trading?
Well, to be honest, while I was still living in Spain, I was doing an MBA program, and I remember one of our lecturers was a very passionate person when it comes to the markets, and he was talking about, in this case, in the context of marketing, not trading, but he was talking about some marketing strategies that certain companies employ to try to attract investors, etc., etc. And this really got me very interested, and I started reading a few books and things like that. And of course, if you wish, the mindset or the way to think and look at the markets in countries, I would say outside of the US or in the US, especially in 2008, was quite different. The US are still the greatest and largest markets in the world, and it's like almost everybody there is into trading. And when I arrived there, with that curiosity already building up, next thing you know, now I was surrounded by many people that were actually trading. I was in Silicon Valley, so it was a fantastic place for that.
Wow.
And so it got me into it.
Okay, fantastic.
So looking back on how you started, Jose, and reading those books, can I presume that you've now burnt all those books?
Yeah, well, to be honest, it's a very special time for me to read in general, and I remember my stages of being interested in the markets or starting to learn how to trade and all of that, and I always was carrying those books with me. And the moment I had a time, it was this, almost that very personal time with the book and you, and I love that because it gave me the opportunity to start thinking about it. Now, of course, when you think about it, from a much more advanced level, and you think about what the majority of books basically present versus
Yeah.
the real world of real trading. It's obviously there is a big distance between the two of them in most cases. There are certainly better books than others, but in most
Yeah,
cases,
it's funny though, isn't it? Because when you find the book that speaks to you the most, you guard it with your life because you think that's your key to becoming a successful trader and having all your dreams come true. And you sort of guard it like it's some sort of secret, and you don't want anyone else to know.
Are there any books or book that you have read, Jose, that's really helped you over the years?
Yes, the book that and it's quite classical and pretty well known by most of the traders that take trading seriously. The book called Trading in the Zone by Mark Douglas
Yes.
was a book that was impactful for me, especially because I was coming from, when I started learning how to trade, I was coming from the point of view of being an engineer, which is my background, if you wish. And of course, engineers, we got everything under control, isn't it? Or at least most of the times. And we know what to expect from things, and everything is measurable, and everything else. And then when you start trading, obviously not every trade is going to work well. Actually, there are certain methodologies that work very well with more losses than winners, and the methodologies these work well. And this, for the mindset of an engineer, is actually very difficult to accept, if you wish. So, in my very early stages, one of my biggest issue was not to understand the markets or things like that. My issue was really just not being comfortable at all, like zero level of comfort when it comes to taking a loss.
Yeah.
Even if it was just one loss, it was like I was feeling it's almost like I was feeling I was not doing a good job. Right? Like if you are an engineer and you made a mistake with a mathematical formula, so that kind of feel. And it took me a while to really understand that trading is all about probabilities. And in this sense, you need to have an edge. You need to manage your emotions. You need to act, with discipline and therefore mechanically, all of those things. But in my early stages, I definitely didn't understand that. And that book really helped me to start thinking about no expectation. You don't need to know what's going to happen next to start making money in the markets. Those kind of concepts which are obvious when you are experienced, but that were very difficult for me to embrace and to accept and to digest and to understand when I was new.
Yeah. I know that is a very powerful book that a lot of traders use and read, and it's really helped so many traders. So let's talk about, we're on this now. Let's talk about the psychology of trading. And so one of the things that you struggled with, or the thing that you struggled with most, was accepting losses. I mean, the book helped, but how did you kind of overcome and change your mindset around that? What helped?
So what I think helped the most, because of course I did a collection of things, and I guess that everything worked in tandem to help the trader in me to evolve. But basically, I think that the one thing that really made the biggest difference was I created this very visual sign where I had multiple pictures and writings and symbols. And I would put that, and those writings and symbols and so on, they would represent certain trading emotions, where some were happy ones, some were less happy ones. And I would have this on the wall behind my trading desk. And every day before the day would start, I would just spend 10 to 15 minutes standing up in front of those signs and looking at them, closing my eyes, putting myself in the situation that those visuals would represent, meditating, visualizing, and basically just get myself in the right mindset to trade, which of course at first it was not so easy, because it's like, for example, if you were looking at a picture that would represent taking a loss, at first, again, I was very uncomfortable with that concept, and therefore it's not like you close your eyes and magic now you feel comfortable. But through repetition, and I heard you say many times about number 21, isn't it, Luis?
Yes.
So
yes.
through repetition. So next thing you know, every time then I would sit on my trading desk ready to start trading. There's a moment in time that you are growing, you're evolving, you are reprogramming yourself, and next thing you know, now when things happen during the trading day, it's like, oh yeah, I was expecting this, or I know how it feels. I recognize that feeling.
Yeah.
So, and things like that. And fast forward in time, it's just like, trading is a second nature, just like for a cook in a restaurant to prepare a meal. It becomes effortless, but obviously it takes stepping outside your comfort zone and doing some repetition, if you wish.
Yeah,
that was
fantastic.
my experience. Yeah,
brilliant. Thanks.
So you addressed your mindset quite early on, Jose. And obviously many traders trade for a long time and don't even consider mindset. They just think, well, I'll just get this strategy nailed down. I'll just have a few winning trades, and when my confidence grows, then I'll work on my mindset. But you did it quite early on. Was there a watershed moment for that? Was there a period of drawdown that made you think you need to sort of look at another way, or how did that evolve?
Yeah, and what you define, James, is that was me. Coming from an engineering background, it's like, okay, give me a methodology, I'll do it. I thought that mindset was really not relevant in my early stages. While I was told it was, it's kind of like, okay, let me learn how to trade, and I'll think about the mindset another day, right? Where you cannot trade unless you are in the right place, from the mindset point of view. So really, again, a classical mistake I would say most traders make. But coming back to when I realized I needed to pay attention to this and work on myself, that happened quite quickly. There were multiple events that started pointing at trading psychology like something important for me. But the one day that was kind of like the big eye opener for me was actually the day where Barack Obama was elected.
Yeah.
Where I was living in California at the time. So sometimes before going to bed, I would trade the opening of the European markets, and so I did that. that day. And when you are in California, the US markets open at 6:30 in the morning. So normally my routine it would be to wake up around let's say 5 a.m., have good shower, good breakfast, all of this, and to be ready to trade at 6:30. Or before that with the futures markets and so on. But basically that day, I kind of overdid it a bit, trading the European markets. And when I looked at the clock, it was, like maybe 1, 2 a.m., something like that. And I'm like, oh my God, what am I doing this? Now I'm going to sleep so little, and tomorrow the market opens, and then this is the election of Barack Obama. And it's not like, there was greed into the equation. It was more about curiosity of, as a newer trader, it was my first year into trading. I was thinking, I want to see how the markets react when a president is being elected, right? So next thing you know, I just convinced myself, you know what? I'll just keep trading for a little more. Okay, and then I'll have a nice shower, a big breakfast. I'll trade the open, and then I'll go to sleep instead of going to sleep now and sleep only 3 hours. And so that's what I did. But next thing you know, when I look at the clock again, it was like 1 p.m. Meaning I had traded the whole session of the US market. That was way too many trades in one day. And luckily, I guess, I'm not sure if it's right to say that maybe it's in my genes, maybe not, I'm not sure, but I am very disciplined by my nature. So I'm calling this luckily, because discipline kept me safe that day, because I took way too many trades, but all of them were well managed from a risk management point of view and so on. So I ended up making just a little tiny bit of money.
Yeah.
But then the point was like, why did I even do that? Such an effort, not sleeping. Then the following days of the week, I was not in a good shape because I didn't sleep well that day. You cannot trade if you're well rested, you have eaten well. You cannot trade like properly. You cannot focus the way you should. And, I paid the consequences of that. And, again, it was just because I was basically all over the place. And again, it was not like a big, it's not like, to me, what happened, it was not like I lost half of my account. What am I going to do now?
Yeah, it wasn't a disaster, but but personally, it kind of put up a red flag in your head, didn't it?
Yeah. Again, if I was to be an engineer and I was, developing a process for an industry, for example, and I end up, having a process run for so many hours and produce so little amount of products, for example, I'd be fired. So it's like that's not how trading should be. And I realized that really many of the trades and most of the reasons for me to stay up so late and do so many trades are, they didn't match any of the rules of my trading plan. It was all coming from the mindset. And so that was the big eye opener for me. That was the key.
Cool. Great.
Okay. Yeah, thanks for sharing that, Jose.
Yeah.
And it's, it sounds like you've got great self-awareness, and I think that is really important. Well, it's vital for traders to have that self-awareness, to check in with themselves. And I mean, is that something that you kind of do naturally? Sort of, you check in with yourself when you're trading, running your company. What do you do?
I think that maybe this sounds silly, or maybe it's not even like that. But the way I think about it is, when I went to the US and I started learning how to trade, I didn't speak English too well. And what happens is that, while my brain was functioning in Spanish, I would need to listen and speak in English. And therefore, it put me in a position where I had to think a lot about the words. And I remember this day, I was having a conversation with some of my traders' friends, and we were talking about, you have all those weaknesses. And how normally in English language, in Spanish language is quite different. For the ones speaking Spanish, you may know that. You may know that Spanish language is very direct, but in English language, normally it's kind of like you try to always be very sensitive when you construct a sentence on how you say or phrase things. So normally you would not say to someone, you have all those weaknesses. You would probably say, everybody has strengths and weaknesses, and maybe from there you can talk about, what are your weaknesses, but you will not just focus on weaknesses. So basically, because of some of those conversations where maybe I was not using English too politely, if you wish, in my early stages, so I got to get into conversations with traders and some more experienced than me that really opened my eyes to becoming self-aware of my own weaknesses and strength, because we all have both. And this time I'm just reflecting reality, not trying to be politically correct. We all have both strengths and weaknesses, and really understand what they are. They are key, because especially when it comes to the weaknesses, which maybe is recipe for risk, you can always have rules around them in your trading plans and so on, because in the end you can work on yourself, but certain aspects that you may not be able to change completely of yourself, or maybe it's just too strong as a personality trait that has to do with, I don't know, when you were a kid or something like that. And there are certain things that you may not be able to change. So then becoming self-aware of that, and then have rules around it within your trading methodologies and your trading plan, is what puts you in a position where you can be okay, you can be safe.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. So, I mean, that kind of brings us on to the next question, really, which obviously self-awareness and stuff like that, and strategies, and everybody kind of needs to find a strategy that fits in with their personality and their lifestyle, etc., etc. So talking about strategies, what do you use, Jose? What fits in with you?
Well, I have changed a lot throughout the years, and obviously, apart from experience that you gain through time, also the size of my accounts when I started learning how to trade were different compared to now, and therefore there were certain products that were more relevant to me, maybe because of a higher level of leverage, for example, when I was newer, or even certain trading styles where I used to do way more intraday trading in my early stages compared to now, because if you want to make more money in general. Putting on the side that, if you trade too often, you could also make mistakes and lose more money. But in general, just let's assume a stable methodology, a stable trader, etc. So the more you execute, with all conditions being equal, the more money you make, right? So my approach at the beginning was to be very active, to trade very highly leveraged products, to be very directional, and be exposed to market moves as much as I can. That was my approach. These days, if you were to ask me what's my favorite asset, I would tell you options, which is not necessarily a very active product compared to trading futures or Forex, for example, on high leverages. But I love it. And maybe it's the engineer in me. I always joke and say options give you options. Which is true, because you can become an options buyer, an options seller. You can be credit debit trader. You can trade time. You can trade movement. You can trade volatility. You can trade ranges. You can trade short, long. Yeah. So you can do so many different things, and then you can tweak your trades during the life of the trade. Where trade management is not simply to move your stop. Trade management could be adding more contracts to your trade to convert, I don't know, an iron condor into an iron butterfly. I don't mean to get technical at this moment, but just as an example. Yeah. And again, all of this matches very well my personality. Maybe again, it's the engineer in me, and I just love it. And like every asset, you have pros and cons. For example, you don't have options that are greatly liquid on all assets. For example, if you want to trade options on certain stocks that belong to certain countries or certain commodities and things like that, so you may not have enough liquidity, and the only way to do it then is use stocks or use futures or things that were CFDs. But for the markets that are liquid, that's what I do the most these days.
Cool. Great. So, I mean, obviously, I know a bit about your strategies. How did you come up with that one?
So it's different reasons for different different experiences got me to this place, which is first of all in early stages. Apart from being a trader, there was a moment in time where I got involved as a trainer in online trading academy, which you guys also have been exposed to the materials of Online Trading Academy. And there was a moment in time where in that process, I assumed the role of being a product development manager, where I developed content for many of their courses. That was a long time ago. Mm-hmm. When I did that process, it gave me a lot of visibility of how people use the materials and what are the struggles that traders have beyond, what you could see when you teach a class and you have people in front of a class that basically got visibility of basically thousands and thousands of students and what's happening to people that are trying to learn how to trade. Yeah. And while I could share many stories and many cases which are very different, I would actually summarize it in two groups, which are the reasons for the tools that we have developed as a company, mm-hmm. Which are the origin of the techniques I use to trade myself. So I'm answering your question, James, but also giving you a little bit more of where this is coming from. And the two big struggles I saw people have, and this may sound funny, but one of them is lack of time. So you may give people the best education or the worst. It doesn't matter how good the education is. But the reality is that most people take a course, and after the course is over, they don't have time to study, or they don't have time to practice. Or maybe even when it's time to take the course, they have time to attend maybe half of the course, not full course. Or now they have attended the course, and now when it's time to trade, they don't have time to practice every day. And again, when we think about trading education, most people think about it from a source of knowledge point of view, where to me, to do anything we do in life that is significant is not about having knowledge, it's about having a skill, and the skill comes through practice, not through reading a book or taking a course. It comes through the practice. So if people are lacking time because people are busy, because people got responsibilities, because they live in some places in the world where when the market opens is too early or too late, or because they have kids, or because the job implies that they have to travel, I mean, everybody's busy. So because that's a main reason why many people fail at developing themselves, while they may have or may not have been exposed to good materials. That's one of the key reasons I saw. And so our company is called Traddictiv, and the essence of what we do is trading technologies. And one of the reasons for those trading technologies is to basically take advantage of the things that computers do better than humans. Because there are certain things computers do better than humans, such as processing data. I mean, no one these days goes on a vacation trip somewhere and use a map printed in a piece of paper. Everybody uses a GPS. I mean, you could certainly use a map on paper, but just because you like it, not because you want to be efficient. If you want to be efficient, you use a GPS. So in trading, this is one of my conclusions, that instead of doing things manually in those early stages, having tools that help to remove the manual component helps a lot to learn better, but also remove the human component, which takes care of some of the normal psychological risks that we all have just because we happen to be human, and a human condition in certain ways is fragile. I would phrase it this way if I can. Yeah. And technology is very helpful in that sense. And then the other thing I saw that was a big problem, and we talked about this earlier in this conversation, is the trading psychology. That even though, like myself, for example, I was told in a very early stage that trading psychology is such an important thing, most people don't get it. Or even when they get it, it's late. And by the way, for them to get it late, it means that at least they had time to go and practice and realize they need to focus on that. But because people are lacking on time, because everybody's busy, so there are many times that people really don't realize it at all. And those two things combined are very risky.
Yeah. Jose, so we're on the subject now. We're talking about what you've created, because what you have created is unique and outstanding. This technology that you've created, the company that you've built. Let's talk about that, because you're in Singapore now. You live in Singapore with your family. But what inspired you? I mean, we've talked about kind of the psychology part. What made you create the company, the technology? Let's talk us through your journey, if you can.
Yeah, so it's in as I said, my background is engineering, right? So when I got into trading, of course, I developed such a passion for that, and that's my life. Trading is my life, but there's also a technologist in me that I cannot help it. So what I've developed in the end is tools for traders that allow to basically do certain types of market analysis, trying to reveal an edge. Because we talked about how trading is a probability game in the end, and therefore having a statistical edge in your favor, it's going to help you. Now, of course, the markets are very large, and there are many styles of traders and many ways on how to trade and everything else. So when I developed our trading technologies, I wanted to develop something that could be useful to all sorts of traders that trade all sorts of styles, that use all sorts of markets. And therefore, basically what our tools are looking for is what we call UFOs, which that may sound funny, obviously, because the acronym is not a commonly used acronym in the world of trading, but UFOs stands for on-field orders. And so basically we are looking at the order flow, the buy and sell orders that are behind the scenes, that when they get filled, that's when market movements take place. And if you, as a trader, were to know or were to have some tool that, from a probability point of view, was to point at an area on your chart that you may want to call a buy zone, a sell zone, because you understand that thanks to this technology, you have revealed that there is a big amount of on-field orders waiting to get filled at those price points. So those price points now could be used for either entries or exits or confirmations to other methodologies. Quick example here, let's say you're a Fibonacci trader. You want to trade a retracement, a Fibonacci retracement, but of course you have many, right? You have the 38.2, you have the 50, the 61.8, but you have all those retracements. Which one do you trade? Well, you could have many rules in your plan that answer that question, but another choice is turn on our technology and find about which Fibonacci retracement level is lining up with a pile of on-field orders, which is plotted on the chart as a couple of circles that look like flying saucers, and that's why we call them the UFOs. and now you basically have a bit more of an edge, and also very important, when I talk about an edge, I am indeed referring to a statistical advantage, but also talking about trading psychology. Now you have an extra boost in the confidence level of the trader, which is obviously something tremendously relevant for a trader to be confident when you trade, because if you're not confident, you're just not going to take the trade.
Yeah.
So that's what we built.
I mean, and I can back up what you're saying, actually, Jose, because I'm actually using your unfilled order strategy when I'm trading. What I'm using it for is for confirmation. So, for instance, if I'm trading, the euro or the pound or something like that, I use it against the Dixie index. So then I know, I find the signal on sort of, the euro dollar or whatever, but on the Dixie chart, I've got your UFOs on there, and I can see whether I'm making the right decision or not. And I have to say, works very, very well.
Thanks for that, James. And I mean, very, very, very happy to hear those experiences. And that's also what I was meaning to say earlier when I said it applies to all markets and so on. So in your case, it seems that you're combining the UFOs with the dollar index, with trading the British pound, the pound US dollar currency pair. And again, this is a beautiful example of how markets move in tandem, and again, understanding where the unfillers are is such a useful tool. And
really is.
Yeah.
Really is.
Yeah. So I know a lot about obviously the technology as well, Jose, and I have to say it's absolutely remarkable, very unique. I know traders who use your technology, and it's really helping them. Obviously, we had Bojan on the show as well, and he spoke very highly about it. But I guess having your engineering background kind of helped you create this, did it?
It did. It did. And everything, the reason why I created this, and, next thing you know, I am a very business-minded person, and I love, running businesses and things like that. And next thing you know, so we built this company when I moved to Singapore, and in 2018, we built our company. But the origin of all of this comes back to, my early stages when I was learning how to trade, where I created tools for myself to be able to basically understand my methodologies, understand the markets, backtest results, go back in time, understand, when the market does this, what's happening behind the scenes. And yeah, basically fast forward in time, then those technologies are being used to plan the trades instead of, basically help me to learn, which was, the very origin when I started coding for this purpose.
Yeah.
So you actually wrote the coding for these then?
Yes, I did.
Wow. That's
very
amazing.
Impressive. Really
Fantastic.
Impressive. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I bow to you,
guys.
Jose.
Thank you so much. You guys don't see me, but I'm blushing here.
I don't believe that.
You're clearly very passionate about what you do. I know that because we've known each other for many years. Now, say for instance, I want to kind of join your company. I want to become a member. Talk us through the process. Let the listeners know, what happens when somebody contacts you, if that's okay.
Yeah, so when people come to our website, basically there are, let's call it 3 pillars in our website. One of the pillars is the app section, where people can see all the apps, which are the trading technologies that we have available. We have them available for different platforms. Could be, activating our technology on TradingView, for example, which is like an add-on, or MetaTrader, for example, or all the way to our own trading platform, which is called TOP, which stands for Traddictiv Options Planner, which obviously has the UFOs in there and many more things as well, which are specific to options trading. So people can come to our website, they can see the app section, and all the tools are there. But then together with, or in parallel with the app section, the second pillar would be the courses section, where on our side there is a collection of courses that are teaching people how the markets work, how to trade, how to put themselves in the market safely. The name of our courses are all called Survival to Mastery. I guess that says a lot about the philosophy behind the courses.
Everything.
Yeah.
And then so people could utilize those courses to learn how to trade if they don't know, or reinforce what they already know. But the beauty, and the reason why I'm mentioning courses as well, is because all of our courses provide access to our technologies during 3 months for free. So when people take a course, talking about, when I mentioned earlier at the beginning of the conversation, that is not about acquiring knowledge, it's about developing a skill. So now people can acquire the knowledge through the course, but now they have 3 months, for free, where they can practice with the tools to develop their trading plans and so on. And then the third pillar in our website is the coaching. Which the coaching basically is that, people may take the courses, they have the tools, but then they are at home isolated and they are practicing trading, and they may make mistakes that they don't even know they make because they don't know what they don't know, like when I started myself, or when anyone starts anything new in life, we don't know what we don't know. So instead, we have the coaching section on the side, where basically we are running live trading almost every day of the week. And our community members are welcome to attend. It could be live, it could be recorded. Actually, all the recordings are on the YouTube channel, so we put it out there for free, visible for everyone, because we have a mission really to help everybody, and we want people to have access to the information. There's no secret sauce in trading. It's just you either trade properly or you don't trade properly, and in the end, the key is you. The trader is the key. There is no like this magic thing that, I'm only going to teach you if you attend my, that makes no sense. So, we just make it all visible out there. And again, the purpose of the courses is to develop the knowledge. The purpose of the coaching is to practice with supervision. So you develop your skill while you're not learning bad habits. And then the purpose of the tools is to have an edge when trading and also shorten the life of a learning curve, a learning process, because people have no time and it takes time to learn. And with the tools, you save a lot of the time, and that helps.
Yeah,
it's good. And being sort of web based as well. It doesn't matter where you are in the world. You've got access to everything you need, haven't you?
Yes, indeed. I mean, I have to say, I love from time to time to run in-person training. I mean, I love training. I used to be a professor in the University of Valencia back in the day when I used to live in Spain. And I just love training and everything else. But obviously, with everything that happened in the world, the last time I was in a classroom environment, if I was to be specific, I would say it was January 2020 in the city of London. James know that.
James was there.
And that was the last time that I did an in-person class because of the obvious reasons, right? So,
it went crazy after that.
I was actually meant to be there that day as well, wasn't I, with you guys?
That's right,
and I couldn't make it. But and then all of a sudden, come sort of March 2020, everyone's world changed, but that's a different story. What you've created, Jose, it gives me goosebumps because you literally you just provide everything, the psychology part, the coaching, the personal experience, the live trading, and obviously the remarkable, outstanding technology. So, I mean, did you do this on your own? Did you create this on your own? Or did you have a team with you?
From a technology point of view, again, since everything is coming from my very early stage when I started building tools for myself to understand the market. So I would say the philosophy of the tools and the technology, it's me, if you wish. But obviously, I will not be able to do everything I do, without the team I have. I'm super lucky. I have the best team in the world, just like that. Boyan, you mentioned a moment ago, Becky, Louise, in this case, Louise Carr, also in the UK.
I didn't know Louise was part of it. Okay,
she's in our team as well.
Wow.
Josip Kosik in the US. I mean, so many amazing traders. I'll stop with the names if you don't mind, even though it's because it will be a long list. But I am surrounded by traders that are in different places in the world, that happen to be amazing traders and professionals and have a passion for it. And on top of that, they happen to be friends, like close friends. Yeah. So when we have meetings to talk about Traddictiv, our community, trading courses, what do we do to help better? So those meetings are just, you are waiting for those meetings. It's just so much fun to working with the team, so much fun to building what we've built in 3 years, and so much more to come. It's very unique, and I could talk about this for hours.
Sounds like it's going to be a great Christmas party, Jose.
Get the champagne out. Talking about that, you also offer an affiliate scheme, don't you, Jose?
Yes, because again, our philosophy is to help as many people as we can out there in the world. And many times the problem is that, when you Google, for example, let's say there is a person who is thinking of trading like very, very seriously, like very serious guy, very serious, person coming from either a professional background or uneducated or whatever it is, but looking at trading like, I want to get into this is serious for me, right? And now put yourself in the shoes of that person, gets in front of Google, types, learn how to trade. What are they going to get? Right? Yeah. So, I would even start mentioning a word that, is not too nice to hear, which is, first of all, is scams. There are many.
Yes.
But on top of that, putting that on the side, because that happens, I would say, in almost every field, but putting that on the side, so there is plenty of access to education, which is often created at design, with intentions other than helping those traders, because everybody in the financial industry has, certain type of interest. For example, if you're a broker, and again, just another example, nothing wrong with brokers. We need them, by the way. But if you're a broker, you make a living out of volumes. So if a broker, for example, offers, some sort of training program. So often those programs have to do with getting people to trade or maybe even overtrade, where maybe it's not exactly what they should be doing. So again, this is just a random example, which in case of certain brokers is totally inaccurate. Certain brokers are actually doing a very good job, including with educational materials, but not all of them. So again, let's say you are that guy looking at trading very seriously. You don't know what you don't know. And next thing you know, you Google trading and you end up in the worst hands as possible. And something that you were looking at, like something really serious, next thing you know, you end up giving up on it or whatever. And it's a shame. So we started our affiliate program trying to find very serious publishers, very serious, bloggers, content writers, people out there that are willing to spread the word of, good tools for those people that want to learn seriously to basically to be able to have an opportunity to realize we exist. And I'm not saying we are the only ones that do serious stuff, and there are for sure many other companies out there as well. But now they have a shot and we have a shot of basically meeting, because the world is big, and for the digital marketing experts out there in the world, if you ask them to basically rank the searches in search engines using the word trading, they would probably tell you this is probably one of the most difficult type of search, because this is a very, very difficult word. Everybody uses the word trading in their searches, and everybody means something different, and there is a major competition. So the probability of people to find us or find good resources in general is low. And in this sense, we are trying to team up beyond search engines. We are trying to team up with very good affiliates and publishers to spread the word, since we have this mission to help traders.
Yeah. And I know the system. It works really well. It's very transparent. It's a very good system. You've clearly built something amazing. Where do you see this going in the next sort of 12 months to 5 years, Jose? Where would you like to grow it to?
Well, I think that the path, the direction in which we are. So, first of all, from an IP point of view, our technologies these days are patented in multiple countries, many of them actually, and it took years to get approvals from all those patent offices and everything else. So what we have in the hands is something. It's professional grade type of tools, and in that sense, we are now doing a lot of B2B, and we are teaming up with the professionals, if you wish. For example, we produce market commentaries for ICE using our technologies, ICE being the Intercontinental Exchange, being the second largest futures exchange in the world, being the company who owns the New York Stock Exchange, being the biggest, largest stock market in the world. So we are producing a monthly market report for them, looking at all markets. So they are kind of accepting, if you wish, that our technologies matter. So the next step is to keep growing in the world of professionals, looking for, let's call it a bit more of recognition, to a point where just like technical analysis or fundamental analysis is something known by everyone. So my goal, it would be put a big smile on my face if one day market analysts on TV talk about UFOs in the market, meaning that our technology became kind of like standardized in the market, recognized as one of the tools that can be used to analyze the markets and either do a market prediction if you're a market analyst, or do plan a trade if you're a trader.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Brilliant.
So what, Jose, what would you recommend, anyone who's thinking of starting trading, they've seen all this content, they've unfortunately put trading onto Google, and now they've been barraged with adverts on their social media. What would be the best bit of advice you think you could give somebody?
Well, first of all, like anything serious that a person may want to do, the first thing you need to do is to educate yourself. So I think that the first step would be education. If your question is in the context of our website, I would always send someone not to subscribe to our apps first. I would send them to register for a course, because by registering for a course, they get the education and they get the apps. So and our courses are extremely affordable, so they could do that very, very easily. And now they can start using the apps, knowing what they're doing. So without the knowledge, then you are basically exposed to how lucky you're going to be, which is obviously not a serious proposal. So that would be, to me, the first step. For people that may have already been educated and they know what trading is all about and so on, and they're just in the process of, just growing, evolving, more in the process of continuous education, which is something very healthy no matter the field. So then I would say, if they haven't yet, trading psychology, that's where they need to be. And Louise, there you would help them way better than us. We certainly have some psychology materials, and we talk about it in every single one of the sessions. But what you could do for them is one-on-one. What we could do in our case is a bit more generic. So I think that that would be the path. And that's basically what it is. In the end, you need to know what you have in your hands. Approach it as a business, put a process in place, and then manage your emotions, manage the trader in you, become self-aware of who you are, understand your weaknesses and strengths, and put tools and rules around that to enhance your strength and transform those weaknesses into either not a weakness or, in a perfect world, into a new strength. And that's it.
Yeah, valuable advice. Thank you, Jose. So going off track and kind of winding down now, you're very busy. I don't know when you get time to sleep, Jose, but do you find time to do anything outside of trading? What other passions do you have? What do you like to do? Obviously, you have your family, you live in Singapore, but what else do you do?
Yeah, to be honest, life is amazing. Life is good. So we talked about my last in-person course in January 2020 in London. Well, guess what? After that trip, I traveled back to Asia. We live in Singapore, and March 2020, my daughter was born. So, and then the day after, the country went in lockdown. Right, the day after she was born.
Wow.
So I went from traveling a lot. There were times where almost every week of the year I was traveling for multiple reasons, and also having my family in Europe and my wife's family here in Asia. So my life is all about traveling, and I love it. But next thing you know, with the pandemic and the daughter is being born and everything else, has been all being at home. Yeah. And so my favorite hobby these days, apart from prior hobbies I had, like for example, today at night we have the Saudi Formula One race, the qualifying session, which I'm extremely passionate about motorsport.
Yeah, that's engineering for you, isn't it?
Indeed. So apart from passions of that sort, or I used to do ballroom competitions and salsa dancing and all those things. Which, of course, with the pandemic, you cannot either, right? Yeah. So apart from that, really, to be honest, I feel so amazingly fortunate because my daughter was born, and next thing you know, I've got this opportunity to see her every single day since she's born and spend so many hours at home with her, which to so many people, spending too much time at home is bad. And I could understand why in certain cases and so on, but to me, it's just been a blessing. Incredible. So my hobby now is just spend time with my wife and my daughter, and it's just very, very happy times. And being in Asia, to be honest, I love it because I can spend the whole day time doing a collection of things which could be related to family, hobby, business, whatever it is. But then next thing you know, we have a nice dinner. My daughter is now in bed, asleep. And next thing you know, 9:30 p.m. at night, that's when the US markets open and it's time to trade options before going to bed. So it's, very, very, I'm very busy, but it feels absolutely effortless every single day. So that's my life at this point in time.
You've got a good balance.
Very much so. Gosh, yeah. So thank you for sharing that
thank you so much
to us and the listeners. Jose, we could talk to you for hours, and I'm sure the listeners would love to hear you for hours, and we definitely would love you to come back to the show again in the very near future. But it's been an absolute pleasure having you on. I'm sure the listeners are just going to really find great value and about what you're doing in regards for traders with your technology and company. But yes, it's been a real pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks,
Thank you so much. Same here. There are many people out there in the world of trading doing very serious things, and you, Louise, and you, James, are those type of people. It's an honor for me to join your podcast and be in this conversation with you. Is just lots of fun time for me to be chatting about one of my passions, which is also your passion. So really, thank you for having me, and anytime, happy to be back.
Absolutely.
Thanks,
it's a
Jose.
pleasure. Thank you, Jose. So
Thank you.
how can traders contact you? What's your contact details?
Yes, I think probably we have a site which is Trade with UFOs, but probably I would say the best would be to have the contact details maybe on the description of the podcast. Happy to share email, happy to share the website direct link. For everyone listening, we are all about, that's our mission. We're all about helping passionate serious traders. So anything, shoot an email, get in touch, happy to help. That's it.
Great.
Perfect. Thank you for sharing. And all of your contact details will be on the descriptions on the YouTube channel and on our website. So thank you once again, Jose. I know it's late there in Singapore, so you must be wanting to go to bed soon.
Or dancing.
Or dancing, yeah.
Formula One tonight.
Oh, okay.
Thank you again.
Take
Cheers.
care, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye, Jose.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.